Number 5. Edward Austrian, a 4-year-old boy, acted very strange for his age. He was frightened of days when the skies were dark and drizzly. He would get a sore throat frequently and would always complain that his shot was hurting whenever it happened. His mother, Patricia Austrian, was given detailed stories from him about his previous life, where he makes mentions of being in trenches in what was apparently World War I. He also goes into detail about his own murder, specifically stating that he died after being shot in the throat. Doctors were baffled as they were never able to find what causes sore throats, as even after removing his tonsils, it was still reoccurring. Edward eventually developed a cyst in his throat, which was deemed as untreatable by doctors. The cyst, however, disappeared after Edward was encouraged to speak more of his past life and his murder. The doctors were never able to explain how the cyst mysteriously vanished. Number 4. Cameron Macaulay. Cameron Macaulay from Glasgow, Scotland, is an extremely strange case. At only 2 years old, Cameron would speak of his past life, where he stated that he lived on an island called Barra, which is just off the coast of Scotland. His account of his previous life was very detailed, as he spoke about having a black and white dog. He even went as far as to mention that his dad's name was Shane Robertson. He constantly complained that he missed his other mother and would sketch an image of a white house on the beach. His new mother took him to Barra to try and appease his mind. To her surprise, he immediately started recognizing landmarks. They found a white house on the beach which was owned by the Robertsons. There was also a black and white dog in one of their family photographs. Cameron also saw a car which he recognized from his previous life in the picture. Growing up caused Cameron to eventually lose his past life's memories. One of the most notable things he mentioned in his recollections, however, is falling through a black hole before ending up in his mother's tummy. Number 3. James Leininger. James Leininger, a 3-year-old boy, remembers his previous life as a Navy fighter pilot. His parents alleged that James was only ever interested in playing with toy airplanes. He had in-depth knowledge about airplanes and mentioned details that even adults wouldn't even know, let alone a toddler. He had sleepless nights speaking of airplanes and weapons, and even went as far as to mention an accident which he suffered while flying his plane. The child recounted to his father that he used to take off from a US Navy carrier called the Natoma, and even made mention of his co-pilot named Jack Larson. Upon doing their research, his parents found out that there was indeed an actual Navy carrier named the Natoma, and that there was a Jack Larson who was actually still alive. James told his father more details of his demise, informing him that he died in the Battle of Iwo Jima. His father, through further research, discovered a pilot named James M. Houston Jr. who died in combat there. The fact that little James Leininger would sign James 3 on his drawings made things more strange, and prompted his father to contact James Houston's sister, who sent a model airplane and a bus which had been returned to her as memorabilia after the death of her brother. Number 2. A boy from Israel solved his own murder from his past life after being reincarnated. The boy, who originates from near where Israel borders Syria, stated that he was murdered by an axe in his previous life. The fact that he was merely 3 years old made his statement quite mysterious to his parents. What's even more strange is the fact that he was able to find the location where his past body was buried, along with the murder weapon. The elders he gave that information to actually found his remains and the murder weapon in the precise location the little boy alerted them to. The boy was born with a birthmark which centered his head. Some say this birthmark mimicked the actual blow to the head he took from the axe which took his previous life. The boy remembers startling details, including the exact village he was from and the name he had in the past life. He led elders to the village where locals there recounted that the man who he is the reincarnation of went missing 4 years prior to his visit. Strangely enough, the boy also remembers the full name of his killer, whom he actually confronted. It is alleged that the killer's face turned white from astonishment, but he, however, wouldn't admit to murder. It was the evidence of the buried body and murder weapon which led to the killer's eventual confession. It is reported that upon the removal of the skeletal remains, it was discovered that the wound exactly matched that of the birthmark on the boy's head. Number 1. Boriska, the indigo boy from Mars. In what is without a doubt the most interesting case of reincarnation, the story of Boriska, who was born in Russia on January 11, 1996, is quite an extraordinary one. Boriska's story is quite unique as he is reportedly a reincarnation of an otherworldly being from Mars. It all began when his mother, who was a doctor, noticed that Boriska was developing quicker than normal mentally as at only 15 days old. He was able to hold his head by himself. He uttered his first clear word, Baba, at only 4 months old and was able to read newspaper headlines at only 1.5 years old. Things got even stranger to his parents when Boriska spoke in detail about Mars and other planetary systems and civilizations unknown to man. He states that Martians now live in underground cities on the planet after a huge disaster happened there. He spoke of flying his own spaceship to Earth to do research and says that Martians breathe carbon dioxide and don't like to visit Earth because oxygen has aging effects. A specialist asked Boriska why man-made crafts often crash upon making attempts to land on Mars, to which he replied, Martians transmit special signals to destroy stations containing harmful radiation. Boriska is able to draw UFOs and give detailed information on how they operate and propel themselves through space, stating that he used to collect water from Earth to deliver back to Mars after their environment was destroyed by a huge catastrophic event. It is said, however, that growing up has caused Boriska to stop opening up about his past life, and he has regressed to keeping more critical information to himself.